Hi, and thanks for joining Lexanne and Grace for an episode of Here's What I'm Watching. Grace is most likely going to be falling asleep during this episode because we did a little test shot to get started, and she was already nodding off during that. So we just finished a walk. She's very tired. So if we lose her, I may actually have to put her down because sometimes she gets pretty heavy when she's asleep. As you can see, she's pretty relaxed at the moment. All right, so the program or the movie that I'm going to be talking about in today's episode is the movie St. Vincent with Bill Murray, Naomi Watts, Melissa McCarthy, and a young actor whose name I cannot tell you off the top of my head. I'll scroll it down there at the bottom. He was very good. I hadn't seen him or recognized him from doing anything else. Maybe he's been in a lot of things that are more kid direct or kid intended, so to speak. So I didn't recognize him, but I'm gonna say he really was very good, and he made the movie more watchable than the script probably warranted. She's out. The idea, and of course Bill Murray is funny and interesting, but the problem with this movie, and the reason that I'm only going to give it not quite three full stars, two and two thirds, let's say, the biggest problem is just that it's a story that has been told over and over again. There's a mom with a son who is lacking a father figure and yearns for male companionship, and the mom is doing the best she can, but circumstances allow this son to spend time with a disreputable character who is Bill Murray, who, oh, what do you know? We find out he's got a heart of gold, and he and the son turn out to form a bond. And oh, Bill Murray's character has got an interesting backstory, which we're going to find out about as the movie goes on. This story has been told over and over again, and there just were not enough original or surprising elements to St. Vincent to really make it a more entertaining movie than the two and two thirds stars that I'm going to be giving it. Here is one of the problems I had with the movie is that story kind of connects to a very favorite movie of mine, which is the movie Rushmore. And I know not everyone are big fans of Wes Anderson because his movies are a little out there. And I'm not necessarily a great fan of all Wes Anderson Bill Murray pairings, but Rushmore is definitely, and we just had a little chime here on the computer, and that woke up Grace. Certainly wasn't what I was saying, but Rushmore is a little similar to this story, and just overall, a much in my estimation, the overall entertainment factor of Rushmore is much higher because it does have many original elements to it. Another thing about this movie that for me maybe made it a little disappointing is that it's hard when you're seeing a movie where you already have an impression of pretty much everyone on the screen, with the exception of the young man who came across as being somewhat surprising. But that takes away some of the surprising elements of the movie, or takes away some of the fantasy of the movie. So I don't know how that problem is solved. On the one hand, you want to see something with Bill Murray because you enjoy his performances, but on the other hand, in the movie, he's Bill Murray. And that's really kind of getting to be the same way now with Melissa McCarthy because she's been in so many good things, and Naomi Watts. Really, at this point in time, who is going to believe that Naomi Watts is a Ukrainian call girl? Well, she's not. I don't know that anybody really has to make many calls because she's pretty much available, but you know what I'm saying. So another movie, though, that I thought of after I saw this movie that created that comparison more in line with what maybe would have been helpful to this movie is the movie The Station Agent. Okay, so here's my comparison. Do you need to get down now, Sleepy? No, gonna okay, hang in there. The Station Agent is a movie where an unlikely group of people become friends and form a friendship. She's so tired. She can't even hold her hand up. You're just exhausted. Or I'm just that boring. One or the other. Back to Station Agent. Group of friends come together and you believe you're really taken in by the story of this group of friends because at the time this movie came out, while these actors are pretty well known at this time, when the movie came out, they were not very well known. So it seems so believable that this unlikely group would come together and form this bond and become friends. Now, with the movie St. Vincent, they are trying to replicate that. A group of people that are drawn together by circumstances who might never actually form a friendship under any other situations, and yet they do. And isn't this an interesting story? Well, unfortunately for St. Vincent, no, because the actors are so well known to us that it's really hard to suspend your belief to see them as just the characters that they're presenting in the movie and therefore believe that part of the story, which is somewhat unlikely. So again, St. Vincent, just not the best. But I did highly recommend Rushmore because that is a movie that maybe hasn't been seen as much, and in my opinion, does a much better telling of the story of the young man who really is drawn to an older man somewhat because of a father figure situation or just as a mentor. Again, I mentioned Station Agent as a very good movie. And I want to just clarify that last week when I was talking about good movies with Brad Pitt, um, Moneyball, which is not on Netflix. By the way, neither is Rushmore, but Station Agent is on Netflix. The movie Moneyball, which came out several years ago and is um, gosh, it was either right before or right after Blindside. It again though is a Michael Lewis based story, and it is a true to life sports connected story. So good though. I just found it to be an excellent movie. And oh well, who's surprised? Aaron Sorkin is one of the screenwriters. The director is well known, although again the name escapes me. There's Brad Pitt being a regular guy and doing a great job of the performance of the regular guy is very believable. And Jonah Hill is being a regular guy, as opposed to the run around and chew up scenery Jonah Hill that you normally see Jonah Hill being. And this was Jonah Hill's first Oscar nomination was for Moneyball. It was also nominated for Best Movie. I don't think Brad Pitt got a nomination, but read the screen. I'll put it in the captions if he did. Anyway, back to Jonah Hill. This Oscar nomination seemed, in my opinion, appropriate because it was so unlike what you had seen Jonah Hill do. But then later on, before where my dog passed out completely. It's almost over, honey. Hang in there. Um, and then you see Jonah Hill in, oh gosh, that horrible Martin Scorsese Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street. That's a horrible movie. Everything about that movie is horrible, and especially horrible is the Jonah Hill performance, which is just over the top and goofy and not at all enjoyable. So it's a good thing I like Moneyball so much because that alone allowed me to cut Jonah Hill a little slack. Otherwise, I would have written him off entirely for the horrible Wolf of Wall Street movie. But then again, a young actor gets a chance to be in a Martin Scorsese movie. I mean, what do you do? Now, let's go back. One more thing, though, about St. Vincent. Amazingly enough, there are three women, no, two, sorry, two women in the movie. I have to tell you, movies that I'm looking forward to here in the near future are, again, you have to really look to see a woman on screen for any longer than 6 minutes, or if even that long, or on screen just basically as a prop. So that was one good thing about St. Vincent is that it did have Melissa McCarthy and Naomi Watts were in the movie for a significant amount of time. Actually had important characters to play. One other good thing about this movie, about the movie St. Vincent, is just the short moment of Chris O'Dowd. Chris O'Dowd is an Irish actor who's been showing up in a lot of stuff. And a lot of, here, just go this way, okay? Because it's in a lot of stuff recently. He is great. And I really, and even his small, very short segments in this movie are very good. So I highly recommend searching out Chris O'Dowd in something if you can. My favorite Chris O'Dowd opportunity is the TV show Moon Boy, which is available on Hulu. It's not on Netflix. Maybe it will be later on. And sometimes Moon Boy is available on public television, but I haven't seen it on the Nebraska public television. But if you get a chance to watch it, it is very good. Chris O'Dowd is a great comedian, and he brings a lot to anything that he does. Okay, that's all for this episode. It was a little long. I see that. So we'll try to tighten it up for next time. Thanks.